Story writer Karen Hitchcock. Gretel Colleen came on the program a few months ago to talk about an ex of hers. Gretel had written a fictionalised account of her relationship with a man that she called Jimmy. And it was all about why Jimmy was such an impossible boyfriend and why he remains an infuriating friend for her, but a very close one nonetheless. And I asked Gretel if Jimmy minded her going on here in front of a microphone and talking about him like this.
I actually rang him last night. I said, do you mind? You know, I'll be talking to Richard tomorrow. I just want to know, like, the parameters. Like, do you mind if, for example, I mention that time you rang me and you were in that woman's car and she was giving you Botox in your forehead while you had a ferret in a cage on your lap? And no, darling, go for it. And we met at a charity fundraiser and he was drinking in those days and I was dancing with Bob Hawke. It was a country and western thing for some reason.
So there you are dancing with Bob Hawke and Jimmy...
Fell on the floor, though, tripped. So that was unfortunate. And I remember Jimmy came up.
He fell on the floor?
Look, I think it was my fault, to be honest.
Sorry, who fell on the floor?
Me.
You did?
Yeah. I wasn't drunk. And then Jimmy came up to me. He was particularly impressed because there was some... He's a real star make loverer, if you know the phrase I'm actually referring to. He loves famous people. Right. So when he and I used to go out 17 years ago, he spent a great deal of time looking over my shoulder, looking for someone more interesting, beautiful or famous. But there was some, as it turns out, fly-by-night actress who was sitting on my other side, who Jimmy was infatuated by because she was famous, and she ignored him. So I was really second cab off the rank, and I can remember him wanting to impress me and showing me his driver's licence. And it had expired, of course, but, he didn't seem to care about that. And then I bumped into him when my children and I moved into Darlinghurst. It turned out that he frequented the same cafe, and he gave my daughter his phone number and some sweet message. I mean, in those days I had
what did he tell your daughter? When he gave...
Oh, she was 3. And
she was 3.
Do you remember my daughter in those days? She used to wear high heels and dress as a Spanish bride. Mm. Now she dresses like someone off the Jerry Springer show, but that's another story.
Hello, Eppie. Hello. So what did he say as he passed his phone number to your 3-year-old daughter?
Give this to your mum.
Give this
to Mummy. And I don't think I replied... No, I don't think I rang, and he just simply persisted, and that was it.
So look, I'm hearing all this stuff right now. Mm. You better tell me why you said yes to his approach to you, Gretel.
I think, in a way, he looks like a father figure. He's very tall and very strong. But this is because he goes to the gym and only works out his upper muscles. So his arms are huge. He looks fantastic, but, his legs...
Are you one of those women who are attracted to father figure type?
Yes, but as it turns out, and this is the dangerous part of it, he, as it turns out, was attracted to me because I was a mother type figure. So it was destined.
So you're playing mummies and daddies?
It's only in retrospect.
Now we're going through his shortcomings here. What would he say are your shortcomings, Gretel Colleen?
He thinks... what are they? He thinks... What's hard for me to... I'm trying to put my head into it. He thinks I'm too polite. He thinks I care too much about what other people think. He thinks I boss him around. He thinks I'm attracted to idiots, which is ironic, really.
Could you live with him?
Oh, God, no. He goes to bed dressed like a pixie. Like a very tall pixie. And... he's on the toilet all the time and talks all the time, and he's messy and he can't sleep and he has to eat the same meals at the same time every day.
I'm definitely bringing him on for equal time because when I asked you if he would have criticisms of you, and your only comeback to that was, well, if anything, I'm too perfect. So, Gretel Colleen,
I'm too forgiving, that's my problem.
I'm just too nice and too perfect. After a while, it became apparent to many people who this Jimmy was. Jimmy's a well-known, brilliant and slightly untidy criminal barrister, the very man that ABC TV series Rake is based upon. Indeed, he contributed many of the stories to Rake. And as a lawyer, Jimmy often has colourful clients, according to Gretel. Was his life ever in danger from disgruntled clients?
One time he rang me, because he often rings me, he rings a lot. Or he'll just send me a text, which he did last week, that said, help. So I, of course, rang. He said, "What are you ringing for, darling?" I said, "Well, you sent me the text saying help." "Oh, yes, I've moved on from that." Oh, my Lord. So there was one thing when some disgruntled clients wanted to kill him. And they arranged a meeting.
Oh, I'm laughing at this.
They arranged a meeting time, which Jimmy agreed to. But the problem with Jimmy that the criminals didn't realise is he's very unreliable. So, and they should have known better, because they arranged to kill him, and Jimmy was, of course, late, and so they'd gone.
Okay. Is he an unlucky guy or a lucky guy?
He is very loved, and that is a very lucky thing in life. One could say he's unlucky in the sense that I remember that cafe where the three of us used to go, and I do remember his car was parked in the street there. And on one day, 2 separate cars drove into it.
Different, separate incidents on the same day.
Separate incidents.
Right.
But he's also foolish. He got another car, but he had to sell that car because he had so many parking fines that he had to get the funds to pay the parking fines by selling the car. So he just doesn't get life. And then one time, he looks bedraggled too. One time I remember he locked himself out of his apartment and he was sitting on the step waiting for the locksmith to come. And he just had his stuff on the ground in front of him, and someone walked past and threw him some coins.
That's lucky.
That's lucky, but he is lucky because he has a bedraggled group of us who have stood by him through thick and thin, and I don't know why. And it did occur to me that maybe in another life I murdered him.
Well, the Jimmy that's being spoken of is, in fact, a man called Charlie Waterstreet. Charlie is a contributor to the Sun Herald newspaper in Sydney and, indeed, a well-known criminal barrister. And I thought it only fair, after all that, to bring Charlie on and let him answer these charges by his ex-girlfriend, Gretel Colleen. Were you listening when Gretel was on the program?
I didn't, but I got a podcast. You're very popular with us pod people. And I was shocked and horrified and immediately rang my defamation lawyers, who pointed out to me that because it was true, that I couldn't sue. But it was insulting and it was hurtful, but it was true. And that's the only thing that could be said for it.
This is how she sketched your personality, Charlie. He's a character. He's one of my best friends, brilliant, older than I am, very bright but incredibly dumb at the same time, alcoholic, bankrupt, bon vivant, very funny, but can't function at some level. Do you want to dispute any of that, Charlie?
4 out of 6. I'd say 4 out of 6 right, and the other 2 are completely wrong.
Look, she also said, she related an incident, I don't know if you remember this or not, she witnessed you injecting Botox into yourself in the back of a car while holding a ferret in a cage. Does that ring true at all?
Your point being? Of course I've done that, but who hasn't
Who hasn't?
in this day
What's
and
the
age?
Conversations with Richard Fidler on ABC Local Radio. Broadcast, podcast, and online.
Today, the final conversations